What does love mean to me? I think the meaning of love has constantly evolved as I get older, but not evolved in a way that it's becoming something different, but in a way that it's becoming something a lot clearer and more tangible. We all grew up hearing love, beloved, loving people, I love you. And it was such a big deal to say I love you to someone. Some of us never heard it. It was not like a normal word that we throw around. But really, love is a little bit too big and a little bit too small for words to put it together. Ideally, I would want to say that when we talk about love, it's more or less a strong compulsion to do selfless acts towards another person. So it has to do with selflessness. And the older I get, the more important it, rehashes on the selfless part. There's no love without selflessness. I think the purest expression of love is selflessness. So for every time you go out of your way to do a selfless act, you're showing love, I think. And it sounds so easy, right, to do something selfless, but it's not really very easy. Having to choose someone else other than yourself in situations where you know that the economy is telling you to choose yourself, the situations of life are telling you to choose yourself, and everybody's telling you to choose yourself. But having to choose to go to do something that is not that directly benefiting you. Do you get? So what do you have to gain out of it? Nothing. That's love. I think that's what love is about. The earliest form of love everyone receives is from their parents. I think that is the earliest form of love. And you find that if you didn't receive love from your parents, your definition of love might be a little bit flawed. I mean, I'm grateful to have parents that love me so much. Love from, again, everybody talks about their mother, and I talk about my mom a lot because she did, I love my mom a lot, and she taught me a lot and put in a lot, to see me grow up and become somebody. But my father, I don't get to talk about my father a lot, so maybe I should talk a little bit about my dad in terms of earliest definition of love, or an instance where I can talk about love. Well, when I was leaving to go abroad, I think 7 years ago, my dad used to be a shoemaker. He went from being a shoemaker to being a bus conductor and to being a bus driver because he had his own bus. Then I'm going abroad. My mother is like, see, you have to sell your bus. So we're raising money for me to go abroad. And my mom was like, see, you have to sell your bus. And my mom, I've always known my mom to be the one to, Samuel is doing something, let's run and do it. Let's bring the money to do it. My father really isn't the person who runs around to say, let's bring money to do it. He's a very chilled person. He'll be working in the shadows. You won't see him. So that is actually love for me. So the fact that I know my father is working in the shadows without having physical gra, I feel like that's so much love coming from him. Misconceptions about love. love is not about what you are taking. It's not about what you can get or what you can be given. It's about what you can give. It's not about you. It's about the other person. That's what love is about. So when you say you love someone, what you actually mean is that in an equation where the both of you is involved, you are not the bigger factor. You would always place this other person's needs, and wants above yours. You prioritize it. That's what love is about. So love is not about what you are taking, but about what you're giving. My earliest memories of being in love actually had to do a lot with finding someone to share my delusions with. I think that's what being in love is about. Two people just living in their own crazy world. Someone who believes in your fallacies, fantasies, your imaginations. They just don't say no to your crazy dreams. If you say, "Oh, I think I'm going to do this," that person is the person they're cheering you on, and oftentimes you find that after a while they start aligning their dreams with yours. Love is sweet, yeah, when it is sweet. But I don't have any love stories to share. I'm so sorry. I think my first way of showing love is including you in my plans. If I love someone, I want you, or I'm having dinner. Oh, have you had dinner? Or do you want to have dinner? Can we meet up for this? I'm traveling. Oh, are you traveling? Are you free to travel? You know, that's how I show love. I want you in part of my plans. And I think the more I have you in my plans and my activities, the better the love gets defined. Oh, I think rent things, for example, and not necessarily just an ex or someone. If I have a friend that is, looking for rent, and yeah, and I know that, okay, I can give something. I have no issues giving something, especially if I know genuinely that this person is working towards putting it together, and I can see them working towards putting it together. And oftentimes the person will say, "Oh, Sam, what do you think of this or this?" And I can tell that as they're asking me those questions, they're actually actively trying to put the rent together. So, sometimes in the society, we've made everything transactional. I think that's such a big problem. People love with expectations. You see, when you're loving, you're not expecting anything in return. So love is not transactional. It's not you give me this, I give you that. That's a transaction. That's not love. Love is, you know what, I have this genuine compulsion or in me to do stuff like this for you, or because maybe and sometimes you don't know why. Maybe because you genuinely enjoy their time or their companionship, or they meet a need that you don't even know you have. So society has made love a transactional thing. Somebody is giving you something because you're doing something. That's not love. That's a transaction. What would someone do to make me feel loved? I feel like once someone finds out my flaws or what is genuinely a problem I have and starts solving it, regardless of me, that warms me up. It makes me feel loved. And in situations like that, I start, opening up to the person, allowing the person more into my space or more around me. I start, having them more involved in my plans and activities. So someone friends are like I would have friends that would be like, "Oh, someone never has slippers," and they'll just buy slippers and send to my house. Like, "Oh, someone, I saw the slippers, you will like it," stuff like that. When someone finds out something that I am genuinely flawed at and starts solving it or helping me piece it together, that makes me feel loved. The greatest love of all time has to be from the religious angle. Jesus, what love can be greater than this? That somebody died for you, you know. I think that's the greatest love of all time. After that is your mother's love, because come on, your mother. Who else loves you more than your mother? I don't know any other person. In hierarchy of love, then when you finally find the bone of your bones, I think that's the next love. But between that phase of your mother's love and your person, the bone of your bone, or how do they say it? Between that finding the love, that part between that mother's love and finding your person, that's where all our problems used to happen in life. Because that's where you meet all sorts of crazy people. And in situations like that, you not fall in love with yourself. And so greatest love is Jesus Christ, followed by your mother's love, and father's love attached. As you mature in life, trying to find your person, or find, depending on what you're looking for, it gets to the point where you actually calm down and look for something in particular. And I think that's the only time you can be vulnerable. So people often say, you're not vulnerable, people are not vulnerable, it takes a lot to be vulnerable. If you find your person, being vulnerable is like a second nature, because they are your person. So vulnerability and trust is a bedrock for relationships to soar and be fruitful and blossom and grow. The easiest thing to do in love is to forgive. In fact, for someone you love, when they do something, you've made an excuse for them already, even before you hear the excuse, even before you hear the problem. Do you get? So you're always like, there's an excuse, there's a reason. You just know that, nothing they do can really be that unforgivable or unpardonable. However, there's also the place of putting yourself first. If somebody keeps doing something again and again and again, you already know that this love is unrequited. Forgiveness is very important in love. If you love someone, definitely you have the ability to forgive the person, because you would always even make an excuse for the person, ahead of even hearing what the offense was. So, yeah, forgiveness is very important in love. Then communication. See, communication is very simple, but still very difficult. Communication just means interacting with one another. And the problem really is not about communication. It's about finding a style of communication that works for both parties. For example, some people love communicating their emotions outrightly. You do something now, I want to tell you now, here and now. Some people want to stew on the emotions. Some people want to digest it, analyze it, criticize it, do a template and then present their emotions. So it's very important to understand the communication pattern the person favors and try to adapt to what the person understands. That's the easiest way to make communication, better in between two people. Have I been in a situation where I had to let go of someone I truly loved? Of course. A wise man once said, you only know you love her when you let her go. Or what was the quote again? So letting go is the most difficult part of love. I think that's the most difficult part, letting go. But again, love that should triumph over every other type of love is self-love. So the moment you start loving yourself, you know exactly what you're looking for in another person, because then you are already fulfilled in yourself. You already love yourself. So you can actually love better because you know the things you want to do to yourself. Would you want to cheat on yourself and get an STD? No. So if you truly love someone, I don't think you would want to do that. One piece of advice I would give my younger self about love is love yourself. I think that's one piece of advice I'll tell myself. And I think anybody else actually, love yourself. The moment you start loving yourself, do things for you see, the things that we deny ourselves, but these are things that we would want to do for another person to prove love for that person. It doesn't make sense, So stop denying yourself of certain things that you can give yourself and start loving yourself. Spend quality time, take care of your body. That's true love for yourself. Take care of your body. Do skincare. That's love for yourself.